This conference will now be recorded.
Once again, thanks everyone for joining today's session. So this will give a brief introduction about the crash course, what we are planning to have this week. We'll talk about what topics we are going to cover. And then if there are any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and we can probably discuss it in the last 5 or 10 minutes. So today's session is more towards providing more insight about why this course, what is this course, what we're going to cover, how important it's going to be. That is what we're going to cover in today's session. Okay. So I'm assuming that most of you who have joined today might be already doing some level of performance testing, or you might be part of overall QA testing, right? QA test leads or test managers. So you might be doing, if you're going to be a performance tester, you might be already doing the scripting using Jmeter or load runner, executions, analysis, reporting. Okay, depending upon your experience and depending upon the project need and your role, you might be doing few of these activities, or maybe all the end-to-end. Okay, so now when you wanted to upskill yourself to the next level, to be ready to take up some additional roles or responsibilities, or if you wanted to probably move to some other organization, pick up some additional role, what is it something you can upskill from your current role or current skill set, right? So if you look into the list of things that you can learn, yeah. So you have one side, you have engineering, performance engineering. From a performance tester, you can become a performance engineer. That is one of the skill set you can pick it up, and then or probably you can become a full stack tester or an SDET, depending upon your aspiration, right? If you wanted to be fitting into overall QA landscape, you can probably go and learn some automation testing or security testing, so that you can cut across different testing. That is one aspect. Second aspect is you can go in depth into performance testing, or rather performance engineering. But performance engineering is going to be it's going to have a larger learning curve. It's not going to be just 10 days, 20 days, 1 month, right? It is going to take its own time for you to learn and then probably get experience as well. So in between performance testing and engineering, right? Another one with DevOps now into picture, with a lot of automation coming up, and then certain things people are expecting performance tester itself to do by themselves, right? Especially on this monitoring aspect. You might be already doing some kind of a monitoring in few projects, but if from performance tester towards a journey of engineering, right? You're not going to become a performance engineer immediately, but one step towards that would be doing a proper monitoring, right? Setting up a monitoring tool, and then doing it yourself. How easily you can do it yourself, right? That is the objective of the course. How can you do certain monitoring by yourself, and few monitoring is right, it is also part of site reliability as well, right? Site reliability engineering. If you look into your synthetic monitoring or your end user experience, these things also falls under the site reliability. So the course, this crash course is intended for you to how easily you can learn few things, few monitoring aspects, either you yourself setting up those monitoring tools, or making use of those monitoring tools for doing a lot of different activities. That is something very much important in this digital applications. Okay. So when you look into the modern day monitoring, right, there are 3 levels of monitoring. One is your end user experience monitoring. You as an end user, right? You open your browser, you type something. What is the experience you're going to get from a response time from a speed, from availability, right? So one is looking it from a end user perspective, monitoring your app from a end user perspective. That is one kind of monitoring. Second is your application monitoring, purely from a server side. How is your server responding, your CPUs, your memories, your heap, garbage collection, all this part of your application monitoring. And then comes your host monitoring, your underlying OS, Windows or Linux kind of a monitoring, right? Monitoring your infrastructure. So infrastructure, application, and end user. So these are the three layers or three levels of monitoring, which we do for an end-to-end comprehensive application monitoring. Okay, so what we're trying to do with our crash courses, we are going to cover one from the production or one from the more from an end user experience perspective, right? The first one is the end user experience. For that, we are going to look into your synthetic monitoring, real user monitoring, which happens mostly in production, and then your client-side monitoring, which can happen in your pre-prod environment or your performance environment, right? And then your server-side monitoring, your application performance management tool, right, using APM tools. How can we go and monitor and diagnose, do the diagnostics for your performance issues? And then from an infra perspective, how can we go and monitor your OS level, infra level, CPU, memory, disk utilization, etc. Okay, that is the objective of the overall the course, the different types of monitoring, and we are going to go and look into each of these individual component in detail. Okay, so let me quickly walk you through this the course content, right? So one, from the end user experience perspective, we are going to look into the client side monitoring and analysis. Okay, using the developer tools, how can we go and get your end user response time, your page size? There are a couple of important APIs available in your browsers, your JavaScript APIs, through which you can take certain metrics like your first time to paint, your load time, DOM load times. There are a lot of metrics available, which is very important from a client-side perspective. And we'll also look into some of the important optimization techniques, some of the recommendation which we can give it to the development team also. So the client-side monitoring and analysis is going to be one of the topics that will come under your end-user experience monitoring. Okay, and then along with that, so this happens in the your performance environment, right? Before you go to production, you validate your client-side metrics. When it goes to your production, for your production application, there comes two other monitoring: your synthetic monitoring and real user monitoring. Okay, synthetic monitoring is more towards your proactive way of monitoring your availability and response time to create alerts to make sure that before even your end user will get impacted because of the response time problem or availability problem, how can I go and get those monitored proactively? So that is more from a synthetic monitoring. For synthetic monitoring, we will use Dynatrace one agent. We will see how to go and create synthetic scripts, different way of synthetic scripts, and then scheduling it, and then monitoring it. So all these aspects, we'll go and look into it from a Dynatrace using Dynatrace one agent. And more towards real user monitoring, we'll try to understand what is real user monitoring, what metrics you're going to get it from there, how it is going to be useful for us from NFR perspective, non-functional requirement perspective, how can we make use of real user monitoring. Okay, so that is going to be a separate topic. So now the left hand side is going to be more about your end user experience or client side monitoring, both in production and in pre-production. The right hand side, it is going to be more towards your from a server side. So to monitor your OS infra, we might be using your top command, VM stats, perfmon, right? That is what traditionally we use it. We will use an open source stack called TickStack, Telegraph, Inflex, and Chronograph or Grafana. Combination of this, we will use it, the open source tool completely. We'll try to install, configure to monitor all your CPUs, your memories, disk utilization, which is going to be really, really handful when there is no commercial tool available. Lot of projects where we will be asked to do only testing. We might not get any other monitoring tools, right? In those cases, at least to get a OS level metrics, infra level metrics, this monitoring is going to be very, very useful. Okay, and then we are going to get into a more in detail into APM tool, application monitoring tool, through which you will be able to monitor your heap utilization, your garbage collections. If the response time is high, how can we go and diagnose the problem, identifying the root cause of your response time. So for that, we will use a sample application, web application. We will run some small test, and then we will try to see how we can go and configure the AppDynamics, and then go and monitor it in the AppDynamics using the AppDynamics. Okay, that's going to be a detailed session from a server-side monitoring or your application monitoring. So we are going to cover your end-user experience monitoring. That is going to be your client-side monitoring, synthetic monitoring, and real user monitoring. We're going to use the Dynatrace own agent for your synthetic monitoring. We're going to use developer tools for client-side monitoring, navigation APIs, paint-time APIs are the tools which we are going to use it. When it comes to infra monitoring, we're going to use the Telegraph Inflex Grafana tool. And for application monitoring, we're going to use AppDynamics. And in addition to that, kind of additional kind of a bonus topic, we just wanted to cover the load test monitoring, right? In load runner or performance center, you used to have a good UI to monitor your test. But Jmeter, we go and run it through command line non-GUI mode, right? So how can we monitor your load test when you're going to use a Jmeter? Okay, so you're going to look into the Inflex listeners, integrating Inflex with Grafana, and then creating dashboards. And we will go and run small load tests as well with application, and then monitor those tests using the Grafana dashboard as well. So it's completely towards enabling yourself in a monitoring. If you're using a Jmeter, how can you monitor your load test? If you wanted to monitor your server OS, how can you monitor using Telegraph Inflex and Grafana? If you are going to have AppDynamics, how can you make use of AppDynamics? And then in production, synthetic monitoring, real user monitoring, how can you yourself get involved in those monitoring? And then the client-side monitoring and analysis, right? So these are the complete comprehensive monitoring that a performance tester can learn very easily, so that they can start making the journey towards engineering. Right? That's towards engineering. Okay, this is going to really help you to get that confidence from a monitoring perspective. And all these things are going to be pretty much easy and something not very highly technical as well. Even for the QA leads, test leads, functional test leads, right? If they want to probably get into that performance area more from management perspective, this is going to be a very quick head start for them as well. Okay, so this is what we are going to cover probably over the 5 to 6 days, 5 to 6 hours, starting from tomorrow. Okay, so the timing will be from the same time like what we joined today at 8 p.m. IST to 9 p.m. IST, and it is going to go over 5 to 6 days crash course. So that is the plan for the course. Then, if you have any questions, I'll just take a pass. You can put it in the chat, or you can probably ask, unmute and ask the question as well.
So you said 5 to 6 more days for this crash course.
The crash course is planned for 5 to 6 hours is the course session duration, and it might go over 5 days or 6 days or 7 days, depending upon how are we going to cover it on each of the days. But the planned crash course duration is 5 to 6 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello Satish, good evening. My question is related to the tools, that whatever tools you have mentioned, is the licensed one, or it is like freeware where we can configure easily in our system and monitor?
Okay, so from a learning perspective, right? From a learning perspective, all these things are pretty much that you can download and use it with the trial versions. I'll tell you one by one. The developer tools comes along with your browser. Nothing is going to stop you to use it even in your projects or for your learning. Okay. Dynatrace one agent, that is something you can get a trial version for I think for 3 to 4 weeks easily, and you can learn it for your own purpose, which means you can easily go and do a hands-on practice as you learn or after the course. And Telegraph Inflex Grafana is open source, no problem with this. AppDynamics, there is a unlimited trial version available to monitor any one of your application, any one of your server. Okay. Only thing is you need to register using a non-Gmail or non-Hotmail kind of email IDs. Okay, you can use your organizational email IDs, or I think there might be some domains available which can use it apart from Gmail or Hotmail or Outlook. No, but it offers you completely unlimited access for using AppDynamics for 1, 2, 3 years, whatever it is. Okay, but you can monitor only one application. If you have a sample application in your laptop, you can go and monitor it. And Jmeter, we all know that it is open source, and the Inflex Grafana also, it is going to be an open source, which means whatever you learn, you will be able to easily go and practice it, do a hands-on from your laptop. We will provide you all the links to download. If at all we are going to use any scripts, or say for example for AppDynamics, we will use a sample application. So the sample application WAR file and the configuration file, what to use it for Telegraph, all these things will be available to you. So whatever I do in the session, in the course, you would be able to absolutely replicate to a hands-on practice in your laptop. So it's all available for you to do it. Nothing is going to stop it.
Thanks, Satish, for that. And this Dynatrace is this tool is like supported for Jmeter also.
Okay, see, there are two things, right? One is Jmeter is a load testing tool. You can go and run it, create a script and run it. Dynatrix is a monitoring tool. It is going to monitor your application, or it is going to monitor the synthetic aspect as well. So there is no relation between Jmeter and Dynatrix. You go and do a testing again. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Satish. I understood.
Hi, Satish. This is Srinath Reddy. Am I audible? Srinath Reddy. Hi, Satish.
Yeah, good.
Yes. What I want to, what I'm expecting, not what are the syllabus you have shown now. From that, I want to concentrate on web browser. That is the client-side metrics calculation. We want to show to the client along with the server metrics along with the client-side metrics also. For that, we are trying to do with the Puppeteer tool. I hope you know that Puppeteer. So we are automating the scripts to get the analysis, that is performance analysis on the client side. So that we want to automate. Can we have a extension of the course or some other course on Puppeteer like that? Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah, we don't have any course for Puppeteer when it comes to automation. I can try to find you some material. Yeah, we have separate course for Selenium where we try to automate your client-side performance. Okay, that is something, it is there. In fact, that was completed yesterday. We might have another batch maybe next month, or the recorded videos will be available with Kumar sir. There we cover the same thing, client-side performance automation, but how can it get automated using a Selenium, similar to what you're trying to do with the Puppeteer.
Yes, client-side metrics only would like to get it. And
the client-side metrics, your page load time, your page size, the number of requests, hard file, all these things we are trying to get it from a Selenium. That is something we have a course for that, not for the Puppeteer.
Okay. And one more thing is, do you have any interface between the CloudWatch, AWS CloudWatch to the Grafana, so that I can give it to the client also? Because I cannot create an IAM user from the AWS to the client. So can we interface the CloudWatch, AWS CloudWatch to the Grafana? That kind of thing. idea.
Okay, again, this is not part of the topic, but I can give you inputs. The CloudWatch, we go and search it in the documentation, right? There is a Inflex plugin available. You may need to add something to your CloudWatch property so that that can be routed to your Inflex. Once it comes to Inflex, it's about you to visualize it in Grafana, right? So there is Inflex plugin, or rather, there's a Telegraph plugin available to get the CloudWatch metrics towards your Inflex. Okay, that is something I think documentation is available in the AWS as well, which you can look into it.
Okay, so that I can add the Grafana into the Grafana the data source as a AWS CloudWatch. That kind of thing.
Correct. Yeah. That is there available in the documentation. You can refer to. Yeah, but more from the session, the whatever monitoring we are going to cover is what I was explaining. The Puppeteer, yeah, we don't have any code for that. The alternate is Selenium. For AWS CloudWatch, routing the data to Grafana also, the documentation should be available somewhere. You can just ping me in the group. I can provide you the link to that documentation.
Sure. Thank you, Satish. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So if you have any questions, put it in the chat. What I'll do is next 5-10 minutes, I'll probably spend some more time to probably show you a few things what we are going to cover in each of the topics. Just give me 1 second. So the client side monitoring, right? We'll just give a quick overview on what we are going to see. So just going to understand the basic browser server communication, why client side analysis is required on top of your load testing, what we get from load testing, what we not get from the load testing metrics. How do we go and approach the client side monitoring or client side analysis as a first time user or as a repeated user? We'll try to understand the important APIs, why those APIs are, how are we going to make use of it, how are we going to use those JavaScript to execute that in the browser to get those time to first paint or time to contentful paint. The navigation API, which is a source for a lot of other tools to get these client-side metrics. How can we go and get it ourselves in the browser using the navigation API JavaScript? And then how do we go and capture this data, important metrics, the load time, page size, number of requests. And also we'll look into a couple of important optimization as well. How can we improve your page size? How can you go and improve your response time? Right. So these are the things which we are going to cover from a client-side perspective in detail. Okay. Then when it comes to your synthetic monitoring and real user monitoring, as I was mentioning about, right, both happens in production. There are a lot of tools available that is used by different teams, but the content in the tool, the metrics that is going to be available in the tool are going to be pretty much same. See, be it is synthetic monitoring or real user monitoring or your application performance monitoring, right? You take any tools. Okay, there might be a lot of tools today. Even tomorrow, there will be new tools coming in. Right? You have Dynatrace, you have Neuralink, you have AppDynamics, you have this Rigor, Pingdom, Google Analytics. A lot of tools are available for synthetic, real user, and application performance monitoring. Whatever it is, if you take synthetic monitoring, whatever you as a performance tester or performance engineer, whatever you're going to do in the tool is going to be same. Whatever metrics you're going to see, it is going to be same. The way you're going to analyze is going to be same. Only thing that is going to be different is each tool is developed by different product teams and the UI is going to be different. You just need to get comfortable with the navigation of the tool. That's it. Once you know one tool, you'll be able to easily go and pick up the other tool. Like, for example, if you have already done load runner, right? First time you would have probably taken more time to learn load runner. But now you know the parameterization, correlation, error validation, all these things. When you move to Jmeter, concepts are going to be same. You will still do recording, you'll still do parameterization, you'll still do correlation, error handling, everything. Only thing is the way you do it is going to be different. Similarly, for monitoring also, be it is a Dynatrace or be it is a AppDynamics, New Relic, whatever it is, whatever you're going to do within Dynatrace for synthetic monitoring, whatever you're going to do inside AppDynamics for application performance monitoring is going to be same across tools. So that is something you need to remember, right? So I'm going to learn Dynatrace synthetic monitoring here in the course. What if some other tool is going to be used in project? I'm going to learn AppDynamics in the course. But what if New Relic is going to be there in the project? You don't need to worry about it, because tomorrow all this tool can go away and you might see a new set of tools. But what are you going to do if you take AppDynamics or if you take application performance monitoring, any tool, you're going to monitor your business transaction, you're going to monitor your JVM level monitoring, your like GC, threads, your heap. You need to monitor your database calls, you need to monitor your third-party calls, you need to go and do the diagnostic for your response time, you need to go and set some alerts or event. Everything is going to be same. Only thing is the UI is going to be a little different. To get used to that, you might take 3 days or 1 week. Otherwise, the concepts are going to be pretty much same. Similarly, when it comes to synthetic monitoring, any synthetic monitoring, the objective is to measure the availability or the downtime, to measure your end user response time from various geos, the errors, right? So you need to go and create synthetic scripts for that. When you say synthetic scripts, it's like your Selenium or is it like your Jmeter. Using the Dynatrace or AppDynamics scripting agents, you need to go and create some synthetic scripts. Okay, that is one aspect. Second is you need to go and configure it against different locations from where you need to run these scripts. Third, you need to go and set some alerts. Fourth, you need to go and monitor these metrics. All these things are going to be same from a concept perspective, irrespective of the tools. Okay, so from our synthetic monitoring, we will use Dynatrace One Agent to do all these activity. Creating the synthetic scripts, two different way of creating synthetic scripts. We'll do it. We'll learn it, and then we'll go and configure it and, with multiple geos. We will run it, and we'll go and monitor these metrics. Similarly, for real user monitoring, this is more towards for us to understand the user behavior. We will go and we will not use tools here, because for real user monitoring, you should have something running in a production. You should capture the real user data from the real user. That might not be really possible. So we'll go and understand what are metrics we will get it from the real user monitoring to define our NFRs. Say Amazon.com. Who is using Amazon.com? From which country they are using it? Whether they are using mobile or your desktop Chrome. All these things are going to be part of our NFRs. So how can we go and derive the NFRs from the real user monitoring tool? That we will go and learn it. Similarly for AppDynamics, we'll go and I have a sample application in which AppDynamics would be configured, and we'll go run a small test, and then we'll go and monitor all these things, whatever listed here in the under the AppDynamics section. Okay, so that is what we are trying to, and this is the from a OS level monitoring perspective, we are going to use the Telegraph agent to collect data, InfluxDB to show the data, and Chronograph to visualize your CPU memory from a OS level monitoring. That as well, everything is going to be there is nothing PPT here. Hardly 10-20% will be on PPT, 80% will be on your tools directly doing hands-on in the tool or explaining things in the tool with the data. Okay, that is what we are going to do it 80% of the time. Okay, so and then Jmeter load testing monitoring as well, as I explained earlier. We'll just see how to bring in that live monitoring for Jmeter. So yeah, with those 5 to 6 hours, it is going to be a jam-packed session. The idea of having a crash course is all these things are pretty much easy, effective, easy way to do it, and an effective way for you to start using it in your project as well. So that is the intention of having it as a crash course, how soon you can get these things learned, and then go and practice it, and then go and use it in your projects, or probably once you do it hands-on by yourself in your laptop, right, you'll get a lot of confidence with which you can go and even talk about it in your interviews as well. So that is the objective of the overall crash course. If you have any more questions, guys, please put it in the chat, and I will be able to answer your questions. Any questions related to the course fees or something related to the duration or something? You can also reach out to Kumar sir. Or if you have any questions on the course content, any doubts, you can put it in the WhatsApp group as well. Or if you have any questions, you can also WhatsApp me so that we can connect or we can clarify it through messages itself before the session tomorrow. So the session will start from tomorrow. And then it will continue for the next 5, 6, 7, whatever days to cover these aspects. Okay, fine guys. If you don't have any questions, we will finish the call. I'll stop the recording. If you have anything offline also, as I said, you can post the questions in the group.
I have a question.
Yeah, please go.
Yeah, so you mentioned that we'll be covering how we are going to monitor application by using AppDynamics. So you said that AppDynamics will be configured already with the sample application. So we also cover the area where we're actually instrumenting and configuring with AppDynamics application.
I'm finding difficult to hear the voice. I could see you're talking about AppDynamics. Can you repeat the last sentence?
My question was, are you going to cover the configuration part? How we are going to configure the application?
Yeah, we will cover that as well. Yeah, we will cover that as well. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Satish, when the actual session will get started? From when? Which day?
The actual session will start tomorrow. Mostly it will be tomorrow. If not, maximum by tomorrow is Wednesday, by Thursday. So the plan is to start by tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine, guys. So we'll wind up for today. And yeah, as I said, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, the WhatsApp chat, or in the separate message to me. Any questions related to your enrollment or course fees, please reach out to Kumar sir. He's available in the WhatsApp group as well, or you can also individually reach out to him. Fine. Okay, guys. We'll connect again tomorrow at the same time. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.